Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
I always tell the devotees here that Krishna has given you all such nice facilities. Use it for preaching and more satsangs in your house. So today is a very auspicious day. Actually, every day is auspicious in Krishna consciousness because we are engaged in serving Krishna. But today is a special day, and today is the day Lord Chaitanya and his associates participated in cleaning the Gundicha temple. Gundicha is the name of the wife of King Indradyumna. King Indradyumna was a very pious king. His constant meditation was how to serve Krishna. That's all. Though he was a king, he used to spend all his time in spiritual discourses. And his meditation was how he can serve Krishna. And one day, a Brahmin came to his house, to his palace. And the Brahmin said, "O king, I have special information for you. The Lord has manifested himself as Neel Madhav." We have a Neel Madhav? Yes. But he is Neel Madhav Das. Where is he? Okay. He is Neel Madhav Das, servant of the real man. We're all Dasas, isn't it? The original is Krishna. So the Lord has manifested himself as Neel Madhav. There are two types of deities. One is self-manifested, and the other is deities that are carved by craftsmen, based on the direction of the chariot. Just like in nearly all these temples, we have deities that were carved under our devotees' direction. And these deities are made in Jaipur or wherever. But then you have few self-manifested deities, like the Balaji deity in Tirupati, and the Nathdwara. There are few self-manifested deities. No one knows how they manifested or when they were manifested. So the king was so desirous of having darshan of Neel Madhav that he called all the Brahmanas and sent them to different parts of the country or the planet to look for Neel Madhav. No one could find them. But eventually this Neel Madhav became Jagannath. And that story we'll give you tomorrow. That story is meant for tomorrow. Today was just a little introduction. So this king Indradyumna had a wife whose name was Gundicha. So this Gundicha temple is very close to the Jagannath Puri temple. How many of you have been to the Gundicha temple? Okay. One thing, in the Gundicha temple, there are no restrictions. Anybody can go. In Jagannath Puri temple, they have some restrictions. So this festival is held 1 or 2 days before Rath Yatra. Tomorrow is the day of Rath Yatra, and in Jagannath Puri, tomorrow is the big Rath Yatra. So the story of Lord Jagannath and Rath Yatra we can discuss tomorrow. So, but let's Gunita term marginam. Marginam means, what does marginam mean? To clean. So, Gunita marginam means cleansing of the Gunita temple. Of course, this cleansing exercise is a very powerful message that we will come to very soon. So Lord Chaitanya called all his associates, devotees, several hundred of them gathered over there. And first Lord Chaitanya called Kashi Mishra, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and the superintendent of the Jagannath Puri temple. And the Lord told them, we should clean the Gundicha temple so that it becomes an appropriate place for the Lord to come. Do any of you like to live in a dirty environment? Would you like to sleep next to a garbage can? Or eat next to a garbage can? No. So, when it comes to inviting the Lord, the place should be tip-top. Even if some important guest is coming to your house, don't you clean everything? To make everything look tip-top. So, the Lord wanted to thoroughly clean the Gundicha temple so that it's so clean and cool and bright that it would be appropriate for Lord Jagannath to come and reside there. After all, who is Jagannath? What does Jagannath mean? Lord of the universe. So God is not an ordinary personality. He's the greatest of all. And Jagannath is the Lord of the universe, who appears along with his brother Balaram and Subhadra. So what did Lord Chaitanya do? He invited these three personalities. And the superintendent of the temple said, my king! What was his king's name?
King Pratap.
Pratapuda. He said, my king has told me that whatever you need for cleansing the Gundicha temple should be provided instantly. And he had already made all these arrangements. So within minutes, hundreds of buckets were brought there, and brooms were brought there, and sandalwood paste. Sandalwood paste also cools your body down. Therefore, in the summer season, we have a festival called Chandan Yatra. You may know that. That is, we apply chandan in the body of the Lord to cool the body. But in the winter season, we don't apply chandan. So, Lord Chaitanya took the first chandan paste and put it on, applied it on the devotees. And he distributed the buckets and the brooms to all the devotees there. These brooms or jharus were not very big brooms. They were a little short. They were normal size. So people, in order to use it effectively, had to sit down on the knees, kneel on the knees, and then sweep the floor. Then the dirt would be gathered. So what was the exercise? Cleaning the Gundicha temple from top to bottom. So the devotees first told Lord Chaitanya, Lord Chaitanya, you are the Supreme Lord. You cannot engage in this menial work. After all, sweeping the floor, washing the floor, washing the ceiling is a menial job. Am I right? No? Some of you may think it's below your dignity to do it. Do you think that it's menial, not menial? Well, it's not menial because it's for the Lord. Anyway, but generally it's considered to be a menial job. So the devotees told Lord Chaitanya, you should not take part in this cleaning exercise, we'll do the job. But Lord Chaitanya is God himself. Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahe Anya. So Lord Chaitanya was appearing in the role of a devotee. And he was appearing as an ideal teacher. He was teaching us how to execute devotional service. Therefore, he also accepted a spiritual master, Ishwara Puri. He also served him in a very menial way. And by his example, he showed us how a sannyasi should behave. He said, a black dot on a white sheet can be easily identified even from a distance. So he was saying a sannyasi's character should be spotless so that nobody looks down or suspects his character. So Lord Chaitanya said, no, I will personally take part in cleaning. So Lord Chaitanya led the cleaning operation. He organized the devotees, and all the devotees while doing the cleaning exercise were not allowed to talk at all. They were all engaged in chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. All of them. They were chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And Lord Chaitanya would throw the water on the ceiling, and then the water would fall on the ground. Then he would scrub the ceiling. Then again they would throw the water. And they would do the same exercise for the floor, for the walls. And all the devotees were engaged in this exercise. And Lord Chaitanya would travel to each of them and see how much dirt is each of them accumulating. The competition was who would gather the most dirt. Just like we have spiritual competition in ISKCON, book distribution and so on. So Lord Chaitanya organized who would gather the most dirt. And Lord Chaitanya would personally go around to see who gathers the most dirt. And if somebody was successful in accumulating more dirt, then Lord Chaitanya would make him teach the others who were less successful to show them how to scrub, how to gather more dirt. And Lord Chaitanya personally took his top piece from the sannyas, and he would use that cloth to put the dirt inside. And later on, when it was seen who gathered more dirt, it was seen as if it was concluded the Lord Chaitanya alone gathered more dirt and dust than all the hundreds of devotees put together. He alone had more dirt accumulated than all the other devotees put together. And after cleaning that temple room, then Lord Chaitanya went on the Shingasan. The Lord Chaitanya Jagannath would be placed. He scrubbed and washed that place very thoroughly. And everyone was engaged in constantly chanting the holy name. No one was allowed to talk. Everyone was in such ecstasy because they were chanting the holy name, and at the same time they were engaged in cleaning the temple in the association of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this cleaning exercise went on, and the first time everyone took part in this cleaning. But in any operation you do, sometimes some things are left behind. So then Lord Chaitanya, for the second time, he organized another massive cleanup. And Lord Chaitanya's intention was that everything would become spotlessly so clean that there would be no dirt, dust, nothing at all. The Lord wanted it to become a cool, bright place where the Lord of the universe could come and reside. So they did the cleaning exercise for which time? The second time. To make sure that not even any aspect of dirt was left behind. In India, the temple architect is such that there's a lot of open space, open windows, and when everything's open, then dirt comes inside the temple. So Lord Chaitanya personally organized a massive cleanup job. After organizing this massive cleanup job, and the devotees were all engaged in what? Chanting the holy name. Now, after cleaning the temple inside thoroughly, then Lord Chaitanya went outside the temple. Because if outside the temple is not clean, then inside will also become dirty. So then Lord Chaitanya cleaned, along with his associates, everything in front of the temple also. And the water from the cleaning exercise was coming out, and it looked as if the rivers were flowing into the ocean. And there was so much water, and there was such elaborate cleanup being done. So, and while the cleanup was being done, there was one Bengali Vaishnava who personally came and and watered the feet of the Lord, and then drank the water. So Lord Chaitanya was very angry. He told his secretary Swarup Damodar. Lord Chaitanya always had two secretaries with him, Govinda and Swarup Damodar. He said, "Look at this Bengali Vaishnava of yours. He's committing such a great offense. He's washing my feet in front of the deities and then drinking the water." The point is, in front of the deity of the Lord, no one should be glorified. In front of the deity, we don't offer respects to anyone, even the spiritual master. In front of the deities, we should not talk. In front of the deities, we should not eat. We have to be very grave in front of the deities. And the only personality that needs to be glorified is the Lord in the temple. So Lord Chaitanya, when he saw that this Brahmin washed his feet and then was drinking this water, he felt very embarrassed, and he said this was not proper. Now, this is Prabhu. Huh? I'm not sure. So this is how the whole Gundicha temple was clean. Arjuna means clean. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the great Acharya, and our Acharyas have commented on this pastime. There's a very nice verse in the Chaitanya Charitamrita with a 4-page explanation by Prabhupada about the significance of the Gundicha temple program. So Bhakti Siddhanta Ji has concluded that this cleaning of the Gundicha temple is comparable to our cleansing of our hearts. Our hearts are heavily contaminated or slightly? What are they contaminated by? Anarthas. Anarthas. Anartha means that which is not necessary or not required. So our hearts are full of unlimited material desires that get manifested through the agency of lust, anger, greed, envy, etc. Kam, krodh, lobh, moh, mad, matsarya. And the sages have explained that the nature of these material desires is that sorry. That these sorry. The sages have explained that these material desires can never be satisfied. So we have these desires. Our heart, as Prabhupada used to say, is more black than our heart is more black than coal. So how do we cleanse the heart? How? By this process of Shravanam and Kirtanam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was explaining to Rupa Goswami how one progresses on the spiritual path. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Brahmanda Brahmida Kona Bhagavan Ajit Guru Krishna Guru Kripa Bhakti Lata Beat. After traveling through many births and deaths, is he the fortunate soul who receives the seed of bhakti? Just like all of you sitting here. Everyone sitting here is connected to the path of devotional service. Some of you may be initiated, some of you may be friends of Krishna, some of you may be chanting 16 rounds, some of you may be chanting 1 or 2 rounds. But everyone sitting here recognizes that service to Krishna should be the goal of life. Now, just getting this knowledge that bhakti is the medium or the most important activity is not enough. Just like you may plant a very good imported seed, but the seed, will it grow on its own? No. Then what do you have to do for the seed to grow? Water the seed. If you water the seed, then the seed will grow and eventually produce fruits. So similarly, having knowledge that Krishna is the Supreme and we should engage in devotional service is good. And we get this knowledge by reading Prabhupada's books, by associating with devotees. But this seed should grow, and that will grow through the medium of Shravanam and Kirtanam. So the scriptures recommend Harinam, Harinam, Harinam eva kevalam kalo naseva 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 vakadiranam. And in this Kali Yuga, the most important medium for spiritual advancement is chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Parikshit Maharaj questioned Shukadeva Goswami. He said, how will people in Kali Yuga be saved? The nature of a Vaishnava is, he is para dukha dukhi. Seeing others in distress, he also becomes distressed. And a Vaishnava's desire is how he can liberate everyone. So Parikshit Maharaj's concern was, how will people be saved? Parikshit Maharaj had just heard in the 5th canto how people have to go to hellish planets to experience the suffering for the different sins that they perform. So Shukadeva Goswami said, Kale dosi nidarajan. O king, Kali Yuga is full of vice. But there is one benediction in this age. Kirtana Deva Krishna Mukta Sangha Saparamja. And what is that? The chanting of the holy names of Krishna. So in this Kali Yuga, this chanting of the holy name is a recommended process for cleansing of the heart. As long as the heart is contaminated, we will not be able to engage on the path of devotional service. Just like if you have fever, and even if somebody gives you something very palatable, will you be able to taste it? No. You have cataract in your eyes. You can't see clearly. But if the cataract is removed, then your vision gets restored. So similarly, due to these unlimited material desires, we can't appreciate the sweetness of the holy name. We can't appreciate the sweetness of the Lord's qualities. We cannot appreciate the importance of devotional service. This is nicely stated by Rupa Goswami in the 7th verse of the Sri Updeshwar, where Rupa Goswami says, the holy names of the Lord are sweet like sugar candy. But because my tongue is afflicted with avidya. Avidya means ignorance. I cannot relish the sweetness. But then he goes on to add that by regular chanting of the holy name, this disease will get cured. So similarly, this disease of sense enjoyment that is inherent in all of us can be eradicated, controlled, eliminated through the process of chanting the holy name of Krishna. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu demonstrated how the chanting the holy name is a means for happiness. And in the Sikshastaka, which is the first, which consists of 8 verses, firstly spoken by the Lord Chaitanya says, Ananda Buddhi Vardhanam. One of the gains of chanting the holy name is that you can realize unending spiritual happiness. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained, the seed of devotional service will grow when you water the seed, namely chanting and hearing. So we should scrub our hearts. And say, well, that's easy. I have a nice scrubber, I have a nice bathing tub. You know, you get all these fancy tubs now. So I'll just sit and scrub my heart. Will I get cleansed? Will it get cleansed? No. We need to cleanse the heart through this process of chanting and hearing. The more we chant and hear, the faster will be your spiritual recovery. And the slower you are, the slower will be your recovery. It's just like if you take the medicine and the diet, then you can recover. But if you don't, then your recovery will be delayed, will be very slow. So this chanting of the holy name is very necessary if we want to make spiritual advancement, and also if we want to experience spiritual real happiness. Prahlad Maharaj in the 7th canto says, Nate vidam svarta gatim he Vishnu. People do not know how real happiness can be found. People are thinking, if I have full facility for sex, full facility for drinking, eating, make more money, I'll be happy. But if you want real happiness, what is the medium? Engaging in devotional service. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu encourages us not only chant the holy name, but to stay in the association of devotees. Just like people build a strong fencing so that unwanted animals and people cannot come in. So Lord Chaitanya advised Rupa Goswami, we should stay in the association of devotees, sadhu sangha. And by staying in sadhu sangha, we will be able to progress spiritually. Therefore, we encourage devotees to come to the temple. We encourage devotees to have satsangs, so that by being in spiritual association, they can be reminded about the importance of spiritual life, and they are encouraged to follow the process. When you are in the association of non-devotees, do they encourage you to do devotional service? No. All they talk about is how to forget the Lord. But so you need to be in the association of devotees as much as you can if you want to make spiritual progress. And then Lord Chaitanya also said, on the devotional path, we should avoid committing offenses. We should avoid committing Vaishnava. So this cleaning of the Gundita temple has this great message for all of us. That if we want our hearts to become bright and cool, then what do we need to do? We need to chant the holy names of the Lord. And when the heart becomes cleansed, then you'll be able to understand Krishna better. Then you'll be able to understand the importance of devotional service. And right now, because of a disease condition, we cannot appreciate the importance of devotional service. So we need to cleanse the heart. Do all of you agree with that?
Yes.
We need to cleanse the heart.
Yes.
How do we do that? By chanting. And Lord Chaitanya showed us how we can all engage in this seva by just chanting. So when we're doing our service in the temple or wherever, you can keep chanting. That is, and if we use the tongue properly, the tongue should be used to vibrate the glories of the Lord. The tongue should be used to taste Krishna Prasad. The tongue should be used to indulge in Krishna Katha or talking about Krishna. And the tongue should not be used for Prajalpa. Prajalpa should be avoided and Krishna Katha should be encouraged. So we need to cleanse the heart. Another very significant message that we derive from this pastime of the Lord is how the Supreme Personality of Godhead engaged in such menial seva. Here is God sweeping the floor. Here is God rubbing the floor, scrubbing. Here is God taking his cloth to gather the dust and throw it outside. In other words, the Lord was engaged in, what do you call this service? Very menial service. So similarly, when we are engaged in devotional service, we should have no hesitancy to do menial service. If we told you now tomorrow go and clean the Potomac grounds, would you do it? You all will do it? I don't know how many of you would do it. But anyway, if we tell you, okay now, so Sunday feast is over, go and wash the pots. You say, hey, what do you think? I'm a pot washer. I'm a PhD. You give me something more decent to do. So, you may be a PhD or whatever. But when it comes to serving the Lord, we engage in menial service. So here is Lord Chaitanya, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, doing this menial job of scrubbing the floor, scrubbing the walls, scrubbing the ceiling. So, on the devotional path, Krishna doesn't see how high a caliber of service you're doing. Krishna sees the mentality with which we are serving him. And if we are ready to serve as needed to push on this Krishna conscious movement, that is the ideal approach to take. So if Lord Chaitanya can do some menial service, who are we, isn't it? We are no one, nothing compared to Lord Chaitanya. So today is the auspicious day that this temple of Gunita was cleansed. And it is said that if anyone hears this pastime of the cleaning of the Gunita temple by the Lord and his devotees, what will he develop? He'll develop Krishna Prem. So the means to achieve Krishna Prem is chanting the holy names and following good sadhana. That is the means. And what is the end? The end is to develop Krishna Prem. Krishna Prem is our goal. Just like you may want to drive from here to LA. So it's a distant city, but you know if you get on this highway, you can eventually reach over there. So our eventual goal is to develop love of God or Krishna Prem, isn't it? But how to achieve that? How will you reach that destination? By chanting and sadhana bhakti. Sadhana bhakti means following rules and regulations, following a certain discipline. And if you follow a certain discipline, then you'll be able to develop love of God. So we want to appeal to all the devotees engaged here, all the devotees present here, to please chant the holy names of Krishna. We know that many of you are chanting, and some of you may be chanting a few rounds. Sometimes people get stuck on 1 or 2 rounds for years and years. I can never understand why. Because sometimes they get scared. If we chant more rounds, then we get attracted to Krishna and lose our taste for Maya. so they don't want to go beyond. But What is the real asset we can accumulate? Is chanting of the holy name. So we should chant the holy name sincerely, chant the holy names attentively. When you're doing a japa, try to focus on the chanting of the holy name. And the more attentively we chant, the greater will be the cleansing of the heart. The faster will be the cleansing of the heart. So today is the day the Lord Chaitanya and his associates clean the Gundicha temple. In many of our temples on this day today, they engage in a massive cleanup exercise. I was telling Ananda Vrindavan in the lecture this morning, you should organize a massive Gundicha Marjanam program on a Sunday where all the congregational devotees can come, scrub the floor, scrub every part of the project and make it spotlessly clean. You ready for that?
Yes.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Okay. Hare Krishna. I didn't want to go too late. It's already 9:45, so any questions from anyone? Yeah.
Do they still do the same way, the cleansing, or how do they do it now?
What, the cleansing of the Gundicha temple? Same way. Probably same way. I haven't been there, so I can't. Yes, any question? Yes.
Maharaj, you were explaining about the scrubbing of the heart, cleansing of the heart through the chanting and hearing. When we chant attentively and hear the enthusiasm and the willingness to be in the association, everything will be very nicely improving. But after some time, again, it's like a bungee cord. It goes away. So,
How to maintain enthusiasm permanently? Is that your question?
that's one part of it.
So the question is, should I respond to that and then go to the other part? So the question is, sometimes I feel enthusiastic to serve Krishna, and sometimes I feel enthusiastic to serve Maya. So, am I right? So, how to get to the point where you always want to serve Krishna and not Maya? So the solution is very simple. Keep good sadhana, chant your rounds, stay in the association of devotees, read the books, and you're guaranteed to remain steady. You may have seen or you may have experienced in your own lives, when you chant your rounds, maintain good sadhana, all day you feel strong. And when you don't do a good sadhana, don't do chant your rounds properly, then you're just meditating on Maya. I mean, we have so many youngsters in Russia and other places who go on book distribution, and they all testify. When they get up early, chant their rounds, they feel spiritually strong all day to preach. And when they don't, they feel weak. So it's a proven thing, just like when you eat, your stomach is full. So similarly, when you practice good sadhana, you feel enthusiastic throughout. Okay? Any other questions?
Last question.
Yes.
Maharaj, you told that Krishna not see the caliber, he sees the mentality. So how to maintain this mentality while doing the books, that don't aspire for the result that I have to do this many books, just that Krishna will take care, you just approach the people. We often lose this mentality and we try to be a doer.
As I said, even if you're motivated, I want everyone to recognize that I'm a big book distributor, and you take part in this activity, no problem. Keep doing book distribution, you'll get purified, and gradually your heart will not desire like that. So don't worry too much. if you want to do some tough exercise like book distribution, and you have the goal of being recognized, that's okay.
It's not a question of recognition, it's a question of I want to do this many books today.
That's good. I want to liberate so many people. That's a very good desire. If a devotee doesn't think, how can I save the conditioned souls? Then that's a very low level. If a devotee is thinking, how can I save the conditioned souls? That's a better realization.
So it's better to have that kind of mentality.
Yes, yes, why not? Lord Chaitanya gave quotas to everyone. He said those who don't gather enough dust, they'll have to make cakes for others. So he was encouraging. Yes, last question from Madhur. Yes.
May I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Namaskar. I'm not sure actually if I have my question well framed, but I'll try. So actually this is regarding spreading the spiritualism among those who are kind of more involved in like materialistic or like who doesn't have the clarity of thinking. And probably actually this is a kind of time of science where actually if you want to convince somebody, then actually you just show some experiment, you show some kind of data. I understand like once.
So what's your question?
So my question is actually how to do this effectively. So like there are a lot of people.
How to do what effectively?
Means sending the message of spiritualism. So like there are some benefits associated with this. Just kind of.
Some, too many benefits, too big to too many to list.
Yeah, or how to just make them easily perceivable. Like so. For
Just like if I show you a bottle of honey and say the honey is honey inside, for you to really believe it, you'll have to taste it, isn't it? So you please start this chanting process, reading process, and you will yourself experience the result. We don't need anyone from outside to come and give you a certificate. You'll give a certificate, you'll write your own certificate. Okay? Okay. So yes, Madhu?
Yes, Guru Maharaj, sometimes in our dealings, I think Krishna places us in a position where we end up receiving some help or some assistance from those who may be not spiritually inclined or they are following some other faith. There seem to be a lot of people who are very pious, who are very sincere in things they do. But we mentioned that we state that we should only associate with devotees. So what should be our
Well, when you say they are pious, how do you define piety? If a person is really pious, then they follow Krishna's instructions. You can't say I'm pious and I have my own standards of morality. Our benchmark is Krishna. So we see who follows the benchmark. It's not that we have 100 people giving their viewpoints and we see who is the best. I'm saying. So what Prabhupada said, Prabhupada was once taking part in the World Conference of Religions and different people were giving different answers. Prabhupada said our process is very simple. We accept Krishna as a basis, and if we accept Krishna's instructions and follow, then we are pious. I don't chant Hare Krishna, I don't read Bhagavad Gita, I give lip service to Krishna, and I say I'm a pious man. Okay, but that piety won't take you too far. Unless you cleanse your heart through the chanting process, you're not going to get too far.
in the process of because not everybody has practiced or heard or followed. Maybe they follow different religion. But
Let's say somebody follows Christianity, doesn't follow Jesus Christ fully with 10 Commandments. Somebody wants to follow Islam. We don't condemn it. Prabhupada went to Iran and told the people chant the names of Allah. So we are not fanatics, but let them follow sincerely.
Now, what should be the extent of our dealings?
Deal with them to the extent necessary, just like you go to work. You have to deal with gross materialists and all that. But you stay with them as much as necessary and not more. That's all. Okay, so I'll stop here. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you once again.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.